So today is something a little bit different. I'm going to be reviewing a DVD, well, a Blu-ray disc set of, obviously, as you can see up there, the Star Wars Clone Wars Season 1. And let me say some little something. I'm a Star Wars fan, old school Star Wars fan, back from '77. When I saw it as a tiny little kid, all the way up until well, the new movies I went to see, but you know, the only good parts about them were the space battles, and even those were not, you know, not as good as I had hoped they would be. However, what I did like was the Cartoon Network uh, little cartoons done by the same guy who did Dexter's Laboratory and the Powerpuff Girls, which sort of bridged the gap between the second and third movies. And that's what this series does, although it does it a hell of a lot better. It being longer, they're able to focus on character development a little bit more, and give episodes to certain characters that we've seen only maybe had one line or so, and really develop them as characters. And there are lots of good stuff in this. There's some great action sequences in this. Fights with on the ground, in the air, Jedi fights, and it's just really well done. And on the Blu-ray, the computer graphics just look amazing. Now, I'd only seen them on Cartoon Network, and that's in the standard television format. This is letterboxed, 16 by 9, fill up your television format, and it really is just beautiful looking. Some great artists and stuff that worked on this. Well, first let's show you the packaging, which I already gave you a glance at. Of course, this is a clone trooper, if you're familiar, and you open it up, and you have disc 1, and you have a little booklet that's included in here of nice little character sketches and background paintings, or preliminary background paintings, concept sketches for this guy who is actually the main bad guy of Season 2. You get here a listing of everything that's on Disc 1, the special features. Same thing for Disc 2 and 3. And in the back you have Disc 2 and Disc 3. And on the back you can see a little bit of scenes from all the different episodes. So as I said, these bridge the gap between Episode 2 and Episode 3. There's these nice multi-part stories. They're standalone stories that focus on certain characters. There's one that even kind of redeems Jar Jar a little bit. I know your Jar Jar is probably one of the most reviled characters by the majority of Star Wars fans, me included, but they use him pretty well here, basically turning him into an Inspector Clouseau type of character. And you also get to learn a bit more about some of the Jedi that looked real cool. So let's say there's lots of references to both stuff that was said in the movies, like a line or a reference, that just might have been throwaway. Like, for instance, tearing the ears off a Gundark from Empire Strikes Back. Well, you actually get to see a Gundark the way George Lucas always intended a Gundark to look. There's lots of stuff that they pick up on from the expanded universe, all the comics and novels and stuff. So there's also some nice little Easter eggs that they will point out. Because these guys they're really Star Wars geeks. I mean, they grew up on Star Wars, and so they really kind of, even more than George Lucas, kind of have a sense of what is good Star Wars and isn't. I know that seems funny to say, but there's a few drawbacks to the series as a whole. Oftentimes, the suspense isn't there, even though there's great action scenes. You kind of know where most of these characters are going to end up by the start of, or have to end up in order to be in the beginning of episode 3. So that's one of the drawbacks, is that a lot of the characters, when they're put into danger, you know that they're not really in danger because they have to make it to episode 3. The second thing is that, well, there's another character that they created especially for this series, that is the Padawan learner for Anakin to teach. And, well, since she's not in the third film, we don't see her, she is not mentioned, it kind of makes you wonder what's gonna happen to her exactly, and how that ties into episode 3. Some of the voice work can get weak a little, but for the most part, it's very strong. Now, on the plus side, even though there's not any commentary, video or audio, on these things, which is something I look for in a DVD collection of a television series, just in general. There is a wonderful, about 5 to 7 minute little featurette on every single episode in the series, and that's where they'll point out a lot of the design work they did, who did what, little things that they threw in there. They'll show you some of the Easter eggs that people put in there, and it's just a nice way to present information to you without having a commentary track on there. If you've got a Blu-ray or even like a PlayStation 3, if you're a Star Wars fan, even if you're an old school Star Wars fan, check this out, because it's quite good, and I think it's probably much better than most of the movies. The new prequel. So with those 3 little things, it still makes for a great purchase. And so that's it. Till next time, see ya.